Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from Am I the A-Hole? Story 1 is by Justin Ant 2. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cook a separate meal for my niece? I'm a 42 female and I live with my husband Alex, who's 45, and our daughters Eve, who's 18, and Ava, who's 16. We live in a different city from our families due to work. All names are fake for posting. A few months ago, my sister asked me if her daughter Kate, who's 19, can stay with us since she was starting college in our city. She was scared of her daughter moving away for the first time, especially to a big city like ours. I knew Kate from before COVID time and remembered her to be a smart, sweet kid. I discussed with my husband and we agreed she can stay with us. Kate moved in around 2 months back. She was fine, came home on time, let us know her whereabouts, no partying. The issue was with food. She had turned vegan. Normally, I cook for my family. I cook just one meal for all. And we are all dairy-obsessed people. Milk for cereal, butter in pancakes, cheese in everything. Eggs were our staple. Kate needed separate dishes altogether, and we needed vegan substitutes for her. Since those are way more expensive, I told my sister she should be giving money to Kate so she can buy it. She started telling me how family doesn't take money from family to feed kids. I told her I would feed Kate same as other kids, but I won't spend excess money on her. She said that's fine. Since her mom won't buy it, Kate started buying plant-based substitutes with her pocket money. For dishes like pancakes, I made food for her using her ingredients. But every time I made a huge non-vegan meal, she expected me to provide equivalent vegan meals. I drew the line at that. I can't spend so much time cooking another meal. She said everyone else got to eat it while she was left with few stuff to go eat. I told her she's free to go cook for herself, and she hated that idea. It came to a boiling point last week when we had a barbecue dinner with friends. She got upset that her salad was very basic and had nothing else to eat. She complained and I told her she can go cook for herself. She got even more upset at that and called her mom crying about how I didn't make any good meals for her and expected her to fend for herself. My sister called me yelling at me how I didn't love her daughter and was intentionally excluding her. My parents are also taking their side. Am I the a-hole? Undoubtedly, you are not the a-hole in this situation. You're not asking for money to feed her child. You were asking for money to prepare an entirely different meal for one person. You're doing all the work. Why is she taking advantage of you in such a way? Why are you letting her take advantage of you in this way? I think you need to say, you can pay for the meals, I'll prepare them, or she can find a way to pay for it herself and she can make this meal on her own, or she can find a new place to live and she can pay rent. I'm making food for my family and anyone who lives here with us. We're not going to make a separate meal for other people and then get ridiculed for leaving somebody out or not providing for them. Take a stance, OP. Tell her she either eats the food you make, her sister provides the money and you prepare the food for her, or she can find a new place to live. Be tough. This kind of entitlement really needs to be reined in. Our next story is by Own Indication 1884. Is this person a vampire? Have they been alive since 1884? Am I the a-hole for defending my former sister-in-law and telling my brother he needs to find a way to accept things and move on? My brother and his wife were married for 4 years when my brother learned that his ex had a baby that she never told him about, and he was the father. The child in question was 9. My niece was a huge surprise for all of us. The last we knew was my brother's ex, Emma, was moving for a job and wanted to end the relationship. She only reached out to my brother after all that time because she had cervical cancer and knew she had no one to take care of their daughter, Lucy. My brother met former sister-in-law, Shannon, a few months after he and his ex broke up. They started dating and got married and had tried for a baby, but Shannon was told she could not have a biological child due to polycystic ovary syndrome. It broke Shannon's heart, and she struggled with the news. It was about 5 months later that the news of Lucy broke, and things spiraled. A DNA test was carried out and proved my brother was the father. He was uncertain about a place in Lucy's life after all those years of them not knowing each other, but he did step up in the end. Shannon told him she could not stay if he was the father. She could not watch him raise a child with someone else. She could not love his child with someone else, and would resent them both if she couldn't have a child. After Shannon left, she found out she was pregnant. She was told during the pregnancy that she should have never been told she couldn't have children. That the correct way of saying it would have been that it would be very difficult but not impossible. Shannon was 13 weeks along when she found out she was pregnant. My brother figured that would make her want to try to make things work. But Shannon did not want to be a stepmother and said they should continue to divorce and co-parent their son, Kai, who was now 1. So all in all, it's been almost 2 years since they learned about Lucy, and it didn't take long for the DNA test results, so it's close to 2 years since the relationship ended. My brother went from being upset about Shannon not making it work to being pissed off, and he badmouthed Shannon all the time. It got to the point where I grew tired of him saying it, and I defended her. I said it was better for her to leave than to stay and treat Lucy badly when she knew she didn't want to raise her. I even asked my brother if he would have stayed had he been in Shannon's shoes. My brother said I should be on his side and not Shannon's, and I'm defending the unforgivable. Am I the a-hole? Shannon is an a-hole in this, but him dwelling on it and constantly being upset about it instead of, like you said, just moving on, makes him a bit of an a-hole as well. Not a big one, but a little bit of one. Shannon is definitely the bad guy in this situation. Yeah, you turned it on its head and asked him the same question. It sounds like he didn't even answer you, because he knows what the answer might be. Underneath that in the comments by Mall Level, not the a-hole. I mean, it's her choice. Being sad about it is his right, of course, but talking badly of her just for leaving him because she didn't want to be a parent to someone who is not her daughter is just not fair. I have to say I can understand that he wanted to care for his biological offspring, but this was also his choice. It even sounds like she accepted that he chose this over her, which is a fair choice, but there would have been women who have said that this is some sort of betrayal. Although I think this would not be a fair assessment, I believe it would be emotionally understandable. Not sure I entirely agree with that statement about betrayal, but there are probably people out there that say that it is. Underneath that by Kooky Today 3172, and yes, they agreed with me on this one. How is it betrayal? I would admire him and wouldn't be around a man who doesn't take care of his child. He did the right choice choosing his child. Of course, she has the right to leave if she can't be stepmother, but she wasn't betrayed. I don't know. Is she an a-hole for leaving? You guys are going to have to let me know what you think of this one, because I don't want to take a stance on it. And his ex, Emma, though she has cervical cancer and she may not live a whole lot longer, she's a bit of an a-hole for finding out that she's pregnant and then disappearing for a while and coming back with this news later. I think everybody in this is a bit of an a-hole. Even the OP who's taking Shannon's side and not acknowledging that what she's doing by leaving him is wrong. But yes, he also needs to suck it up and move on. Our next story is by Throwaway Mean to Sister-in-Law. Am I the a-hole for canceling my in-laws' beach vacation? Thanks to some work-related perks, I was able to book 2 beach houses on the same block for my in-laws to join my husband, 2 kids, and I on vacation. They paid me back for their portion already, but I made the reservation. Sister-in-law relies heavily on her parents to take care of her children. Even as a stay-at-home mother, she has one or both of them at her house helping or sends her kids to their house a lot of the time. When all of them were together, I've noticed what regularly happens is that the kids end up unsupervised because everyone thinks someone else is watching them. When we're around, suddenly we end up in charge of the kids without being asked or even informed. One time I was upstairs with my kids, their kids were downstairs, and they all left to grab lunch for us without telling me they were leaving. It's a big house, so I didn't hear them leave or the kids head out into the yard until they were gone. When they returned, they saw the kids outside and tried to blame me for not watching them, when I had no idea that they'd left. Obviously, my husband set them straight and made sure they understood if they wanted us to watch the kids, they needed to ask us so that we know we're supposed to be in charge. I felt good about booking the vacation after this conversation. A few weeks later, we were all at a public beach together. We started bringing our stuff down to the beach and one of the kids wanted to come with us, so father-in-law said, "Go ahead with them." loud enough for me to hear. Not asking, but at least I'm being informed I'm in charge of him now, and presumably they're following closely behind. After at least 10 minutes at the beach, they still haven't arrived, and I notice their other child in the water by himself. I tell him to get out of the water and come over by me. I asked if they know he's down here, and he says yes, and they told him he could come down and swim. He wasn't told to even check with us, so we knew he was there. I feel this is completely unsafe, as I very easily could not have seen him in the water, and we had already had a very clear conversation about supervision of the children. I was too angry to have a productive conversation, and they are the ones that immediately got defensive and shut down, or get combative at any hint of confrontation, so we said nothing and finished the beach day. Once we got home, I told my husband I'm not comfortable going to the beach with them again, and I canceled their reservation on the beach house. He returned their money and told them it's because of what happened at the beach. Obviously, they were very upset and felt they deserved another chance because they had informed me about one child, and the other child was supposed to check in with us and didn't. So how can I punish all of them? My husband also feels that because they paid for their portion, it wasn't necessarily fair of me to cancel it, and that we could have just mostly had separate vacations and refused to go to the beach with them. Am I the a-hole? Most of the comments seem to say you're not the a-hole. I don't think you're an a-hole for what you did, but I do think, like your husband does, that you guys could have had completely separate vacations. You say at this point, I will not be responsible for any supervision of your kids while you come with us. Do not ask me to, do not expect me to. I am removing myself from that role entirely because you guys are irresponsible with it. Underneath in the comments by C. Alex Author, not the a-hole, better safe than sorry. They have a history of presuming you will do things without asking, and then their kids are left on their own in dangerous situations because literally every adult beside you isn't watching. It's dangerous as heck, and it's completely unfair to you. Your husband isn't realizing that if sister-in-law and all come along, even with separate vacations, you won't have that. If they see you for even a moment or think you will return soon, they will send or leave a kid by you. Their existence with those kids is a series of unfortunate accidents waiting to happen, and you are the one finger-pointed at time and time again for their own negligence. And make no mistake, they are all incredibly negligent with those kids. And you are not the babysitter. In fairness to yourself, no more vacations where they and the kids will be there. There is no way to relax for you. It's like a giant setup waiting for something bad to happen. Something really bad could have happened to the kid at the beach. If it's at the ocean, there's rip currents, there's creatures that bite and sting, and jellyfish and crabs and all sorts of things that can come after you, but they don't generally get seriously injured unless it's like a riptide that pulls them out into the ocean or something. But they do need supervision. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a perfect day.